All right, today we're jumping into a really fascinating and honestly hugely influential spiritual text from the 18th century. It's called The Secret of Mary by St. Louis de Montfort. It's a short book, but wow, the path to holiness it lays out is pretty intense. Some might even call it radical. So, right off the bat, you can tell this isn't your average spiritual guide. The author, de Montfort, he doesn't just call it a book. He says, here is a secret, which I have not found in any book, ancient or modern. He's not just writing, he's letting you in on something hidden. I mean, how can you not be intrigued by that? Okay, so let's get into it. What exactly is this well-kept secret? Well, first off, de Montfort is pretty clear that this isn't for just anybody. He's looking for people who are, really serious about their spiritual life, people who pray, who aren't caught up in worldly things. He's basically saying, this is powerful stuff, and I only want to share it with those who are actually going to use it to become holy. And that really gets to the heart of what this whole text is about, this idea of the path to perfection. So, he asks this huge question, right? How can any of us, a mere creature, as he puts it, pull off this marvelous transformation of becoming like our Creator? He's saying this is what we're all called to, but man, is it a tall order. And his answer, it's pretty blunt. He says, look, on your own, it's impossible. You can't just bootstrap your way to holiness. It's not about gritting your teeth and trying harder. It takes something else entirely, an absolutely extraordinary grace from God. And to explain this, he gives this fantastic analogy. Think about two ways to make a statue. The first way is the sculptor method. You get a big block of stone and you start chipping away, relying on your own skill. It's slow, it's difficult, and you could mess up at any moment. Then there's the mold method. You just take the material and pour it into a perfect mold. He says this way is quick, easy, straightforward, and you get a flawless result every time. I think we can all see where he's going with this, right? So the big question is, what is this mold? Well, this is where we get to the real secret. The mold is Mary. De Montfort's entire argument hinges on this. If you want that grace, that divine help you need to be transformed, you have to go through Mary. He calls her the living mold of God. She's the perfect way to be reformed, to be reshaped into the image of Christ. But why? Why is she so crucial? Well, the book lays out a bunch of reasons. I mean, think about it. She's the mother of Christ, who is the source of all grace. So the argument goes, God chose her to be the one who hands out all his graces. She's like the essential pipeline God decided to use, a spiritual mother who literally forms Christians, the elect, inside her, spiritually speaking. Okay, so you might be thinking, wait a minute, doesn't all this focus on Mary kind of take away from God? And that's a fair question. And de Montfort saw it coming. He has this beautiful image of an echo. He says, when we say Mary, she re-echoes God. So for him, it's not a detour. Devotion to her is the most direct, surefire way to God. So what does this actually look like day to day? How do you do this? That brings us to what he calls the ultimate devotion. And here's where things get, well, pretty radical. He calls the actual practice holy slavery. I know that's a tough term for our modern ears, but we have to understand what he means by it. He defines it as a slavery of love and free choice. This is key. It's not forced. It's about a complete and total gift of yourself to God, which you make through Mary, completely willingly. And he's really specific about this. He draws a line between being a servant and being what he calls a slave of love. A servant, he says, works for a paycheck and can quit any time. But the slave of love, they belong to their master for life, not out of fear, but out of pure love. They're not looking for a reward, and they're completely dependent. It's about 100% self-giving. So just how total are we talking? Well, this consecration means you give everything to Jesus through Mary. And I mean everything. Your body, your soul, your stuff, but here's the kicker. You even give away the spiritual value of all your good deeds. Your prayers, your sacrifices, all of it, past, present, and future. You're basically handing Mary a blank check with the merit of your spiritual life and saying, you use this however it brings the most glory to God. Okay, so you've made this incredible gift. Now what? How do you actually live it out? And this is super important. The book makes it clear this is not a one-and-done deal. You don't just say a prayer and you're good. The real work, the real challenge is to cultivate an interior spirit. It's about changing how you think and operate on the inside, living in this constant state of dependence on Mary. And he gives us 4 ways to do this, 4 interior actions. First, you act with Mary. She's your model. Second, you act in Mary. She's your safe space, your sanctuary. Third, you act through Mary. She's your way to get to Jesus. And finally, you act for Mary. Your goal is to serve her, knowing that her goal is always to glorify God. Now, to help keep this inner spirit alive, he also suggests a few outward things you can do. He's clear these aren't the main point, they're more like reminders. Things like formally consecrating yourself on a special feast day, maybe saying some specific prayers each day, and even wearing a little chain as a physical sign of this loving commitment, this holy bondage. So, what's the payoff for all of this? Why go to such lengths? De Montfort pulls out a quote from the great Saint Bernard to sum it up, and it's beautiful. It's all about spiritual security. When you follow Mary, you will not go astray. When she protects you, you will have no fear. You will arrive safely home. I mean, what a promise, right? Guidance, protection, and a safe arrival. So that leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. What does this 300-year-old secret, with all its intense talk of molds and slavery and giving everything away, what does it tell us about devotion, about that deep-down human desire to be better, to reach for perfection? It's a lot to think about, for sure. Thanks for digging into it with me.